Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 30th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see the system out over the Gulf of Alaska here, spreading some clouds and some precipitation back into western BC. This frontal system will push across the area as we go through the day tomorrow. We'll take a look at those details and what's coming in the extended forecast as always. And looking at lightning strikes over the last 24 hours, you can see how we did have some across some of northeast Washington, British Columbia, Idaho, western Montana, and we're going to get a little bit of a break here, but then we're going to bring that threat back here for some areas as we go through the next few days. Taking a look at yesterday, I want to play through this really quickly there, and you can see the thunderstorm activity there just across northeast Washington. It was pushing off across British Columbia. Kind of interesting to watch the mid-level water vapor loop and some of that lightning activity associated with it. And you can kind of see we've got this ridge. There's the ridge right there, but then the trough, the low pressure system is off to our north and west. You can see that activity move across there, and again the clouds streaming into Vancouver Island. I'll be watching to see if any lenticular clouds want to pop off across some of the higher terrain today as well. Now, thunderstorm outlook for today, you can see nothing here for the Pacific Northwest, well off across eastern Montana and Wyoming. There's day 2 as well. And then day 3, look at that marginal risk there. Probably mainly a wind threat with this activity, but some stronger storms could develop here across portions of southwest Montana, back in towards Idaho. That would include Yellowstone as well. So taking a look here at the 500 millibars, this is what's known as heights, and this kind of gives you a general idea of where ridges are and troughs, as we saw in the infrared satellite imagery. There goes that ridge. It is collapsing and moving off to the east, and we've got some shrinking back down to the southwest, I should say. Then we've got this trough here swinging through as we go through the weekend, and then that trough wants to drop down here across some portions of Montana. It's across some of Alberta there as well, but we got this next ridge already starting to nose in here as we go through next week. How close will that get? Is it going to allow us to warm up, or are we going to remain more seasonable? All good questions. We'll take a look at that here more in a moment. Then we scroll off towards the end of the last night's European run here. You can see some heights lowering there across western BC and more zonal flow there as that ridge shrinks back down to our south and west. Now, if we take a look here, this is the European model here. So this is the frontal system ongoing right now across BC. You know, there's actually probably some moderate rainfall going to be accompanying this frontal system as we go through the afternoon hours, but it is falling apart by the time it gets towards the Washington coast for the most part. And then you can see some precipitation, maybe a little bit for Seattle and Bellingham there, but it's not going to be much to write home about. That frontal system really losing its punch. Then as we go through Sunday, there's going to be some of that severe weather out there, or at least the potential for it across portions of Yellowstone. And then we kind of keep some residual showers around, but by the time we get towards Monday here, we're kind of wrapping up those showers. You can see the ridge of high pressure off our coastline there. And then we deal with, kind of these weak systems kind of trying to approach from the west into western Canada. And again, more on that here in upcoming days. But I wanted to show you the composite reflectivity, what the Doppler radar may look like here over the next 60 hours. This is a North American model, hot off the presses, the 12Z run. That runs at 5 a.m. Put that into motion, and you can see some of that precipitation moving in as we go through the day today. Then eventually it starts to creep towards the Washington coast as we go through tomorrow morning. And again, just, some rainfall here for Puget Sound. Not much for the Willamette Valley at all. And then you see that frontal system really losing its steam as it moves off to the east until it starts to come across, again, southwest Montana. You can see some of these stronger storms develop, and that's why they have that marginal risk for some severe weather there. So if we take a look at the high resolution rapid refresh, this is known as the HRRR. This runs every single hour, and every 6 hours it runs out 48 hours. So if we take a look here, you can kind of see on Saturday afternoon, it brings a brief bout of rainfall here. But again, it's not going to amount to much for many locations of western Washington. More the further you go north, Bellingham up into southwest BC, and then that frontal system really losing its punch. Also, drawing some attention here as we go through tomorrow afternoon and evening, might still have some residual showers in the central and southern Puget Sound before those wrap up and push off to the east as well. Now, looking at today, not a bad day out there across portions of Oregon, Washington. Probably some good dust devils going on for Richville today. Couldn't make it out there, doing some work on my house. Needed to be here, so I'll probably do my first dust devil trip once I get back from storm chasing later on into June. But yeah, if you're out and about there on I-90 towards Ritzville, Moses Lake, watch on those fields out there. You probably see some dust devil activity. Now, taking a look here for Saturday, we cool things down. That frontal system is going to start to drop those temperatures. Maybe Seattle topping out at 70, mid 70s for the Willamette Valley. And then we go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. As you see, no big warm up in sight right now, but that could change depending on this ridge out over the Pacific Ocean and just how close it gets to our area. Now, 24-hour running total precipitation in inches. This is last night's one. I mean, look at that. You're talking about 0.03 of an inch for Seattle, nothing for Portland, but better amounts across BC, over 1/3 of an inch. Some places across the higher terrain up over 1/2 an inch. Bellingham, 1/4 of an inch. Some of the North Cascades. And then you can kind of see that residual convergence zone that kind of moves through as we go on in through Saturday night into Sunday morning. Activity kind of hanging on there. A little bit more towards Tacoma maybe and out towards the foothills there. You get out towards Mount Rainier and those areas out there, maybe up towards 1/4 of an inch as well. But again, not much to write home about with this frontal system overall. And if we take a wider look at things on last night's European artificial intelligence, there's the ridge here, but as you can see, there's the trough that we saw in the infrared satellite imagery. It swings through as we go through the day tomorrow. Ridge really rebounds here across Pacific Ocean, but it's far enough away where it's not going to really bring too much heat to the Pacific Northwest. As you see, as we go through next week, that troughing moving through, and then that ridge again out over the Pacific Ocean. Where is that going to go? What is going to be going on with the heights here and this trough across Western Canada? All good questions. Things we'll be checking out as we go off into the extended. Then you can kind of see that troughing swinging through in the June 9th, 10th, and 11th time frame. Then you see this troughing here kind of along the west coast, but we're looking way too far off into fantasy land to get concerned about that. This is last night's European for Seattle, Tacoma. You can kind of see these seasonable temperatures here, and then you see maybe warm up here. It's that time of year where if you get a ridge close enough, of course, we're going to start to ramp things up back up into the 80s here, but we'll pay attention to that. It's way off into the extended forecast right now. This is Spokane as well. I'm just kind of showing you here that as we go through this time of year, you get these troughs and ridges, and we'll just continue to break things down as we get closer to it. But take a look at this. The European ensemble mean over the next 15 days, still that below average signal just continues to dog much of the region there. Not a good look heading off into summer. We are 2 days away from meteorological summer as we speak, and you don't like to see this here, because we really are one of the driest places in North America as we go through the summer months, and that's not a great signal there. This is also not great. The European extended model goes out over 1,100 hours, 46 days. This goes through almost mid-July, and some pretty stark conditions here as far as below average precipitation values showing up in some of the extended runs. Don't love to see that as well. Doesn't bode well for fire season. But even if you have an abnormally dry season, you still have to have things like lightning strikes or fire starts to really get the fire season going. So it's not a slam dunk that we're going to have an above average fire season. Now, take a look at percent of average precipitation since April 1st. Just a horrible look here across Pacific Northwest. Dramatically below normal for almost all of the region. Some places exceptionally so, between 5 and 25%. Now, big swaths between 25 and 50% here across the region. So don't like to see that. The signal's a little better since January 1st, but still not great, especially for Washington State. Kind of widespread below normal precipitation totals. And the drought monitor has been taking some notice of that, introducing some moderate drought here and extending it and bring some abnormally dry in. This is only going to get worse if we continue to be that dry as we go on into some of the summer months. Here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Some below, a mixed bag here across the region. Not sure what to do with that. There's a 6 to 10 day precipitation in that below normal signal starting to show up a little bit more there as well. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Otherwise, we'll break this all down again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys later.